as we mourn the death of our men and women killed at Fort Hood in the worst terrorist attack on American soil since September 11th, the question so many are asking is, how could this have happened? How could such a hate-mongering jihadist ideologue be allowed to serve as an officer in the United States Army? The unforgivable manner in which the army and law enforcement ignored Hassan's actions prior to his terrorist attack, and how so many in government and the media have since attempted to rationalize the attack, should be a deafening wake-up call to America. That wake-up call is the danger of out-of-control political correctness. The pathology of political correctness is no longer merely annoying or frustrating. It is no longer merely a restraint on free speech and common sense. This perversity called political correctness is dangerous and deadly. I am sickened, saddened, grieved, and angry that 13 people died and dozens of others were wounded in an attack that could have been prevented. But unlike many, I am not shocked. That's because for years, I have been denouncing political correctness. For years, I have been warning people across America that political correctness is aiding and abetting the advance of radical Islam on our soil. For years, I have been telling anyone and everyone who will listen that political correctness is putting us at risk. As a result, I have been the target of the clenched fist of political correctness. Last year, I was scheduled to give a lecture at the Norfolk Naval Air Station. Just 3 days prior to the event, my lecture was canceled by the top brass without explanation. Rumors circulated that a few Muslims had complained and the base leadership caved in. On another occasion, a lecture I was to give to thousands of people at the Air Force Academy was also canceled, again without an explanation. The official who booked the lecture didn't even have the courtesy to respond to my emails inquiring why the lecture was canceled. A group mired in political correctness and headed by a retired Air Force colonel and graduate of the Academy proudly took credit for getting my lecture canceled. On a third occasion, a lecture I was to give at the FBI Academy was canceled as well. At least this time, someone shared with me the reason why my lecture was canceled. It was due to fear that I might say something that would offend a single Yemeni officer who was attending the Academy on an exchange program. 100 FBI agents were denied the opportunity to be warned about Islamist infiltration in our country, our government, and armed forces out of fear of offending one Yemeni officer. Why is political correctness so powerful? That there are some in the military who would literally risk the lives of their own soldiers rather than speak or hear the truth? Fear. Fear of being accused of discrimination. Fear of having a black mark entered into one's service record. Those same leaders who would bravely lead their troops into battle are cowering in fear of political correctness. One of the top enforcers of this politically correct-driven fear is CAIR, the Council on American Islamic Relations. For years, CAIR had bullied, berated, intimidated, and smeared anyone who dared criticize radical Islam. For years, CAIR has been the go-to organization for the media and our government. This in spite of its documented ties to Hamas and its long list of leaders and officials who have either been investigated, arrested, or convicted on terrorism-related charges. After Hassan's terror attack, CAIR trotted out Executive Director Nihad Awad, who insisted that no religious faith could justify this attack. He insisted there was nothing in Islam that could justify this attack. He insisted this had nothing to do with Islam. Awad must have missed the hundreds of passages in the Quran and Hadith that not only allow but exhort violence against the unbelievers. Passages such as Surah 9:5, fight and kill the disbelievers wherever you find them. Or Surah 8:12, smite them on their necks and every joint and incapacitate them, strike off their heads. Or Surah 9:123, fight the unbelievers around you and let them find harshness in you. President Obama apparently missed those verses as well when he parroted CARE's talking points at the memorial service at Fort Hood on November 10th. Obama claimed, no faith justifies these murderous and craven acts. The problem is, hundreds of millions of Islamists around the world who follow their holy books and centuries of Islamic jurisprudence defiantly disagree. They proclaim for all the world to see that such acts of violence against the infidel are indeed justified and exhorted by Allah. Yet the power of political correctness in America is so strong that leaders in our military and our government arrogantly presume to tell Islamists of the world that they're reading their Qur'ans wrong, that they're wrong in following the military example of Muhammad, that they're wrong listening to their mullahs and imams who exhort them to kill and conquer the infidels in the world. This is nothing short of madness. A pandemic of political correctness has chained, blinded, and muted far too many of America's leaders. As a result, they do not confront the ugly forces of Islamist bigotry, hatred, intolerance, and violence. The Fort Hood terrorist attack is a direct tragic consequence of political correctness. I founded Act for America to give patriotic Americans like yourself a voice to combat radical Islam and the political correctness that is helping advance it. It is long past time we throw political correctness in the garbage where it belongs. If you agree with me, join us. If you are fed up, concerned, frightened, or angry at the state of political correctness in our country and the price we are paying for tolerating it, then join us. Go to actforamerica.org. Sign our petition calling for a government investigation of CARE and its ties to terrorism. Sign up to receive our email alerts. Together, we will rise and demand that our leaders put our security and our liberties ahead of politically correct-driven fear. Add your voice to ours. Become a voice affecting your community and our nation. For the sake of our children and our country, and in the face of a growing torrent of hateful invective and terrorist murder, we must wake up and take action. The longer we lay supine, the more difficult it will be to stand erect. Join with me and almost 70,000 Act for America members, and let's draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough. Go to actforamerica.org, sign our petition, and join us. Together, we can protect our nation. Thank you.